Yeah.
Push pause.
We're back. We're back on. We're back on.
Here we go. With regards to that, um, I strongly advise all of us as a city, a population of people, to get involved more with our city council. Go to meetings, right? Voice the concern of our heart for this town, for our people, for our kids, right? We're faced right now with a $63 million bond. That's a lot of money, isn't it? Huh? No, it probably cost me $130,000-$140,000 a year additional taxes. Um, so the comment earlier was made, is this what we're teaching our kids? What are we teaching our kids? That's a good place to go, right? Are we teaching them truth from the biblical standpoint, or truth as the world tells them, right? That you could do anything and get away with it, right? You don't have to be accountable. You don't have to be truthful. You don't have to be honest, right? But what is honesty? If they don't know, they're not being taught, right? They don't know, right? Uh, so there's a lot of talk about this. I don't know where it's going to go. Does anybody have any idea if there's going to be further meetings on this, Mr. Deming? You work up at the Capitol. What is some of the not? You don't have to get in debt with it, but is there any scuttlebutt on that, sir?
No, I'm
Okay, that you want to talk about, maybe. So it's up to us as a community, as a citizen, a population, to do something that is not just going to put a Band-Aid on it, guys, right? Because that's what happens to a lot of these guys, right? Uh, at the mission, they come in there, they open door, they get food, they get a shelter, boom, they're out the door, right? Going back the same way they lived before. Let's put a Band-Aid on it, right? Our mental health situation does the same thing. Puts a Band-Aid on the problem instead of dissecting it, taking it apart, offering them the truth of who they're created to be in Christ Jesus through the word of the Bible, the wisdom of God that created all of us. Amen? See? And so they go out and do the same thing over and over and over because that's what they've learned to do. And the world accepts it, doesn't it? Unless they end up in prison or in this particular mental health facility. Yeah. So anyway, that's all I have to say right now. I'm glad we had a nice showing. Blessings on you folks, eh? And pray for one another, eh? Yeah. Thank you.
Can I get the sheet from the back? I got one more on this one too. Okay. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. Anybody else want to add their name? Otherwise,
You can skip me again
okay.
if you get.
Well, I mean, I have the room only till 6, and I know they have a book fair to set up, so yeah, just letting everybody know. Okay, Jennifer Draper.
Thank you for both for being here tonight. My name is Jennifer Draper, Jennifer, Draper, Draper. I bought my first home in this town in 1990. I own 2 properties in this town. One of my properties is basically the same distance as the elementary school from this proposed site. And I have I have a number of questions, which don't fall to you to answer, but since you are the ones here, you're the ones that are going to get them. My first question is, currently I do not live in city limits. I live north of Park City. I live in Stillwater County, and I depend on the city of Laurel for my water. I drive in, I fill up a tank, haul it home, and put it in my cisterns. Laurel has had a water pressure problem as long as I've owned property in this town, particularly on the east side. And there is a community that I follow down in New Mexico, very much similar to Laurel. Small community with outliers who rely on their city for water. And because of the continued drought, which we have seen more and more of unstable weather patterns creating issues with the depth of the river, we had to, as someone already mentioned, had to move our intake once already. That community, their outliers were suddenly shut off from water with no notice. That is not anything I expect to happen immediately, but it's a concern of mine down the road. My other concern for this community, in addition to all the other concerns, is while this facility will provide more higher paying jobs in the medical field, we have two nursing home facilities. Is it? No, three. Excuse me, we have three. And I cannot remember, I haven't been there in the last few years, but Tendernest has two lovely pods for long-term care and memory care. And it's been a very long time since I've seen all of that open. And it's because they don't have enough people. I am concerned that this facility will hire away because they will pay higher wages of the people that staff our local facilities. And we won't be able to keep mom and grandma and anybody that we want close to us and close to our hearts. So that is a personal concern. I'm also curious, I know that this property hasn't been annexed because we're in the beginnings of this. If annexation fails, does the state plan to build their own sewer and water out there? Because I know Pompey's Pillar, when it was being developed, when they put the new visitor center out there, they had to do all that because of the high groundwater. They had to mitigate that. It took them almost a year and it cost them $1 million. So that's just a question that I have in that regard. And as far as I've noticed a couple of people bring up the fact that there's 114 acres in this parcel and what's going to happen to the rest. Well, as I understand it, the 114 acres is because it was an all or none situation. Okay. As far as what's going to happen to it, who knows? But something that I see that is a possibility is that if you already have a facility for housing criminals, if you want to use that term, if we needed to house ICE detainees, it would be a place to put temporary housing. I don't say that's going to happen. I just say that's a possibility. But those are my concerns. And thank you again for being here.
Thank you for your comment. Laura Hirschman. Sorry.
I know I spoke earlier, but something came to mind since then. I know that you guys were sent when really Dan Villa and Charlie Barrington should have been here. So since you are attorneys, I thought I'd take the opportunity to actually ask something of you. You've been presented a lot of information today that are concerns, and I think as attorneys you would be concerned. Illegal activity potentially that should be looked through by attorneys. Montana codes being broken, again, that would be something that you would look at for your clients. And unethical behavior also that should be looked at for your clients. So I would ask of you when you return to Helena that you look through this and talk that over with your clients, because this is concerning. I know you took oaths when you passed your bar exams, and that is something that is your job, and I hope you take that seriously. I think, any attorney does. I have 2 attorneys in my family, and they take their job seriously, and I just hope you do the same. Thank you.
Amber Zahn.
On video. She comes out and she's fine to be filmed.
Okay,
So
thank you for letting me know ahead of time.
yeah. Amber Zahn, Zahn, Z-A-H-N. Do apologize. I did speak earlier, and I have to keep my notes because I'm like a squirrel and croc. So, social anxiety, mental health, right? We're all talking about it. I'm going to keep it short because I respect your time, and I want everybody to feel like their time is respected and they get to talk as well. But prior to this, when I lived in Billings, I was a foster parent. And we lived in a really not great part of town, and we had a little girl who was also my niece, so it was, a good placement. But we were witnesses and victims of multiple crimes. And when it came time to raise my own family, I knew that that's not where I wanted to be. I needed somewhere safer, somewhere where we were not witnessing these, where we weren't victims. When the time came, we were presented a fantastic opportunity, and we understand how fortunate we were to be able to buy the property that we were able to buy. But that property now borders directly this proposed site. A couple weeks ago, I had shared a picture of the swing in my backyard where my children play. I know you guys saw this earlier. Sorry. This has reached over 19,000 screens, just so you know. People have seen it far and wide. So out of all those screens it has touched and all of the comments that I've had and the messages I have received 3 negative comments of people who are saying, you just hate mental health. You don't know what you're talking about. Whatever, but people understand the stigma, the fear, the concerns, everything that something like this would bring to be built next to a home with small children. We talked earlier about property values. A lot of people have, I know that I've seen studies showing upwards of 27% of a property value loss. And that is extremely concerning. I won't touch too much on that. The state, is there going to be compensation for stuff like that? Have there been evaluations done? What kind of buffers are going to be set in place? Securities. There's not been a set definition on what the facility is, what it's going to be meant to do, what the security looks like in general, based on what we've found and we discussed earlier. So again, I will keep that short. Escapes may be low, but they're not zero. This is an added risk that we did not ask for. As a parent with small children, you can see the mini running around. We didn't ask for that. We don't need it. I don't want it. It's something that I've already lost sleep over, and should this move forward, I don't think we will continue to own the home that we have been so fortunate to own. And that's really a sad thought. House Bill 5 was highly controversial in mental health care providers. I see a therapist, and my therapist is phenomenal, thank God. But she is one of those people who was in a large community of mental health care providers who are against House Bill 5 because it's not providing the health care that should be, as a lot of people have touched on before. Why are we letting them get to the criminal state? And then I guess the last thing I really wanted to talk about then is patient safety, health, and triggers. Because this is next to a home with small children and several homes with small children, you've heard about our fears and our concerns. And a lot of these are going to tie together. What about these people who are the patients who are going to be held there? What if we have pedophiles? What if we have people who've harmed children? Or just people in general, and they can see from their window, they can see from the yard, there's children outside playing. Are my kids going to be triggering their mental health? Is that going to trigger, am I going to be safe outside mowing my lawn in a tank top? And they're hypotheticals, these are, but they're concerns and they're real. And I think that they should be thought about. So I'm not going to take up any more time, but I appreciate you guys, and thank you everybody for listening.
Thank you for your comment. Shauna Hopkins.
Let everybody
Else
else
go.
speak, and
Okay.
then speak if there's time.
Okay. Jenny Jones.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Jones. I'm at 1320 Nez Drive, and I have been a Laurel resident my whole life. I went to school right over here at West Elementary, K through 5. My childhood home was just up the street, and I've always felt safe in Laurel. I loved my childhood here. I would ride my bikes with my friends. I would go to the bowling alley every day. And when it came time for me to start my own family, my husband and I decided that Laurel was where we wanted to be. And we have since become invested in this community. I'm a current trustee to the Laurel Public Schools. My husband owns a business, Laurel Auto Clinic. He's run that for the last 12 years. We have property on 4th Street as well. And so never in my life have I thought that my kids would ever be unsafe in the town that I have grown up in. I have loved this town. I still love this town. That all changed this year when I learned that Laurel had been selected for this state forensic prison. And I've never in my life felt more disappointment in my government, my local government, state government, than I have ever felt until now. I've participated in the government through the district, through city council, as a citizen, and I always felt heard. And even thank you for you being here. I do feel like you're actively listening and trying to hear us, so I really appreciate that. But I have felt that the state decided that it was going to be placed in Laurel. Our mayor decided that it was going to be placed in Laurel, and they did not take into consideration what the people of Laurel felt. And so I wanted to just express my disappointment and my fear that my kids will not feel the safety and the security that I had growing up. I want every child of Laurel, my kids, your kids, every person to feel safe in this town. I want the teachers of our district. As a trustee, it's not just the kids' safety I care about, it's the teachers' safety. I don't want the teachers to have those conversations with their students when they look out their elementary school window and see that mental health prison and they ask what that is. Mrs. So-and-so, what is that? Why are these lockdown drills happening? I do not want any kid in Laurel to feel unsafe. And so I just wanted to express my opposition and thank you all for listening. And that's it. Thank you.
About a 50-50 chance I'm messing this up. I'm gonna go with Louis Nagy. Okay. What? No.
Ellie.
Yeah. And then John. But we are getting dangerously close. Just so
Yeah,
everybody
I won't
knows.
take long. I spoke twice this morning, and so Representative Deming, if there's anything you'd like me to,
What's your last name? How do you spell
Marshall. If there's anything you could think of that you want me to say after I say this, let me know and I can repeat. A neighbor friend of mine has asked me to read this for them. Although not a city resident, I have lived just outside the city limits for 65 years. My husband and I graduated from Laurel. Our 3 girls graduated from Laurel, and out of 6 grandkids that we have, 3 of them are graduates of Laurel as well. The other 3 are currently enrolled in Laurel schools. On a personal level, I have to say the underhanded process that the state has given our town for this facility is a deja vu for our family. We saw the same dishonesty pulled by a big corporation who ignored an entire neighborhood south of town, who fought tooth and nail to stop that gas-fired power plant from being built that was obviously going to affect their health and well-being. I can tell you that on this day, it's absolutely affecting many of them in more ways than one. Their mental and physical health from the noise and vibrations and their property value depreciated are 2 examples. This proposed forensic mental health prison, if put on this property, will have the same impact on the residents and children of this town, and in fact it already is. You can come up with all the studies you want saying otherwise, but unless you live in proximity to the area, you really don't know. The apathy towards our town coming from the state officials on this project has been appalling. Thank you.
One right before we have you. Did anybody else add themselves after?
No.
Okay. And was anybody planning to talk on topics not about the mental health facility? Because it's a public meeting, they have the right to talk. but, and I know Sean has been really nice about holding off, so, but like, I have to give enough, no one's raising their hand. You will be the final speaker. I don't want to upset that librarian. I already touched him.
Shauna Hopper, HOPPER, as previously stated. Just a couple of final things that I want to talk about. As you all see this button on my chest today, this morning I attended a sentencing hearing for a lady who killed one of my best friend's children. During the sentencing hearing, it was brought up that this individual had childhood trauma that caused a ripple down effect of her decisions as a teenager, as a young adult, as a mother, and as a citizen. The system failed her as a child. Now the system has failed my dear family friends. After a third DUI, she got behind a wheel and killed a 20-year-old man. Mental health is crucial, but if the system would have helped her as a youth, maybe she would have made better choices as an adult. These are the reasons why House Bill 5 did not appropriately address mental health that is needed in our state and in our country. A family lost a child. I lost a friend. And a 30-year-old woman will now sit behind bars because she was not able to get the help she needed earlier in life. I would also like to say that I'm a business owner in this town. Laurel does not have the funds for the school, for the emergency services, and not only myself, but numerous other people raise money and have fundraisers after fundraisers after fundraisers to help this community in its needs. The state will not help with that. And quite frankly, if the state comes, I want to sell my business. I want to sell my property. I don't want my children bordering this property because I don't know if my grandson, not only would he be safe, but would he be exposed to people walking outside, exposing themselves, doing irrational things that would affect his mental health. And final, is this the first of 2 public hearings, or is this the only public hearing the BOI DPHHS will have with our community?
I can't answer that.
Does today count as one meeting, or is the state trying to count it because there's 2 sessions as 2 meetings?
It's 2 meetings, but that doesn't affect whether there'll be another meeting.
Okay.
Thank you again for being the only people with the state of Montana that will communicate with us.
And thank you all for coming so close to the hearing. Thank you.
I don't know if this is the river or not, so I just thought I could get that too.
These are the same.
Yeah, yeah. Those are the same. You got one I didn't use. And then you got this letter. From Montana. You said that was for the DHHS. So you guys changed the limit of that going from the.
Yeah.
Okay.